All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Mainly Hoops podcast. If you've been enjoying our content, please make sure to like and subscribe. We appreciate all your support. We have another big Big Ten matchup here, Illinois at Iowa. This one's on Sunday at noon. The only real good game this Sunday, I believe, as far as I know. Double check me. Is there anything else?
Couple others. Nothing. I mean, this is definitely the best game of the day. Like Cincinnati, UCF. Like,
Okay,
you think that's a great game? Sure.
Ohio State at Washington.
There we go.
Yeah,
Okay, there's a couple games out there. This is definitely the game of the day here. Marcus, let's kick things off with you. What does Illinois have to do to come into Iowa and get a win here?
Yeah, I think Illinois really has to take care of the basketball in this game, right? You're going on the road against a team that turns you over at the sixth highest rate in the country. As we know, Ben McCollum defenses are elite at turning teams over. And while Illinois has been really good at taking care of the basketball up to this point in the season, through they're 34th in turnover rate offense. So, they've been really solid in that area. But still, I think it's going to require more detail in this game against an Iowa defense that is as good as it is in turning you over. Another area for Illinois is going to be to win the extra. So it really comes down to extras a lot in this game, winning the extras on the glass. They're ninth in offensive rebound rate. Illinois is, whereas Iowa's 88th in defensive rebound rate. I think there are avenues for this front court of Illinois to really bother the Iowa defensive rebounding unit, right? Like Merkovich is 11.4% offensive rebound rate. They've got other guys, and pretty much the whole roster is in that like 6 to 11%. So they have a lot of guys I think capable of creating second chances in this game, particularly against an Iowa team that isn't fantastic on the defensive glass. They're just not like an overly massive team in the front court. So I think those two things, like taking care of the ball and the rebounding, like winning the extras, winning the shot volume battle, are going to be really key here on the road. And then another thing I think for Illinois is like just trying to get their guards downhill, as we sort of talked about in the preseason. Like this Illinois team, was going to play a little bit more inverted, where the bigs were going to be taking more shots from the perimeter, and they were going to rely on guys like Boswell to get downhill and get to the rim. I think they can have success here in this game with that. You've got Iowa who does foul at a high clip, and while Illinois doesn't get to the line at a super high rate, I do think that like Boswell could get to the line a decent bit in this game. Some of the other guys on Illinois as well, but I think he's a guy that's a really good advantage creator, and can get downhill with his physicality and generate looks at the rim that could ultimately like lead to either getting to the line or creating 3-point plays against this Iowa defense that does foul at a pretty high clip. As I said, they're 264th in free throw rate defense. So I think those things are really important. And then finally, I think it's just the pace game, right? Like Illinois is going on the road to Iowa, where they are 350th in tempo in the country. They just want to really slow the game down, muck it up, limit possessions, limit transition. Can Illinois kind of jump out early and try and set the pace a little bit differently? It's going to be really hard to do on the road at Iowa, as we saw even with like Iowa State. They went to Iowa, and like first half it was mucked up a little bit. What was it, 34-25 at halftime, I believe, if I remember right. And then Iowa State came out 10-0 to start the second half. So, it's really hard to do on the road against the Ben McCollum team that's really good at just controlling tempo and pace and playing their brand of basketball. But if they can come out and kind of set the tone earlier to set Iowa off of that, I think they could be in a decent spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Some definitely some good points, Marcus, there. Cody, I'm going to hand things off to you to talk about Iowa here at home and what their keys to the game are.
Yeah, I think the number one thing is, I guess, on the offensive end is how efficient can Bennett Sturts be against this drop coverage of Illinois, which is, I mean, Bennett Sturts is a drop coverage killer, really. It's when you send two to the ball and force someone else on this Iowa roster to beat you, where I think they run into some problems. So if Sturts can score 20 to 25 and do a lot of his damage in pick and roll, if he can find his pick and pop options, and mainly Alvaro Folgaris as that pick and pop guy who's kind of flourished in that role this season. He's 20 for 45 from three this season. So I think that's avenue number one. Like against two on the ball defenses, like I know Michigan State kind of high hedge Sturts to death. Iowa State did the same thing and he didn't play all that well. Minnesota didn't do it a ton and he scored 21 points. So that was kind of the success there. But it's been the other guys outside of him and Fulgaris that haven't really stepped up all that much this year, which is the main concern. But in this matchup, like he's not really going to be harassed on the ball. He's going to be able to get into his pick and roll action as often as he wants, really. I would have liked for, I mean, Illinois does a really good job of taking away cuts. And I think Iowa is one of the best cutting teams in the country. They kind of just stay connected on the perimeter, make sure to not get beat off back cuts. And yeah, like Iowa just, they cut in very like odd spots. I don't really know how to explain it, but they're just like, they're just very good at it in general. And the fact that Illinois takes it away is a slight concern for me here. On the defensive end, it's turning over Illinois, like you mentioned. They're sixth nationally in turnover rate in the country, and I do think there are like some paths to turn over some of these guards. I know they've been pretty good taking care of the ball all season long, but if they play heavy in the gaps and take away the dribble creation that guys like Stojakovic, Wagler, and Boswell want to get into, I think they can be set up fairly well here. They also need to keep Illinois off the glass, which is probably my biggest concern of this game. Like it's just a game against Michigan State that kind of has me scarred with this Iowa team. I know Michigan State's one of the best rebounding teams in the country, but Illinois is pretty damn good themselves. And Illinois can crash as many guys as they want onto the offensive glass. Like Iowa's not going to run in transition and make them pay for it, which is really my main issue. Like you could crash four guys to the glass and send one guy back, and Iowa's not really going to be willing to turn this game into a track meet. If any side is going to be willing to run, it is Illinois. And Illinois has done a much better job with half-court offense this season. They haven't really ran that much all year. They're 243rd in possession length on the offensive end. And like if they're going to be comfortable playing in the mud with Iowa, it does give me some concerns. But ultimately, if Iowa can win the extras, particularly in the turnover department, I think they're going to have to win that by – they're probably going to have to be at least like a +4 or 5 in the turnover department and stay pretty close to even on the glass. And because I do think the efficiency battle, just pure scoring-wise, I think is basically 50-50. Might give the edge to Iowa in a home setting because of how good of a spot Sturts is in right now. Because if Illinois high hedges Sturts, I don't know if this Illinois defense is all that built to play in rotations, especially with their bigs like Mirkovic playing the 4, like not a good mover in space. Overall, they just lateral movement isn't the real strength of this Illinois team. They play a super high floor defense under Brad Underwood, just filtering everything into the mid range and limiting catch and shoot stuff. So if Sturts is killing them and they have to change what they're doing, I do think Iowa's in a pretty damn good spot on the offensive end. But ultimately, it's the talent gap, it's the physicality gap up front that has me a bit concerned here. But there are paths for both sides, obviously.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how this game plays out. I'm excited to watch it Sunday. Marcus, who do you have coming out of here with a win?
Yeah, I'm gonna take Illinois here. I think they can take care of the ball well enough. I think they can create enough second chance opportunities on the glass against this sort of lacking Iowa front court. And I also think that, like Cody said, the talent's just kind of different in the front court in particular. Like I guess Sturts could go off and create a lot of problems. And like any time you get down against Iowa, it's like playing any kind of slow-paced team. If you get down 6 or 8, it kind of feels like a mountain to climb. So if Iowa can sort of set that tone early, they can certainly win this game. I just trust the talent of Illinois a little bit more. I think they're going to be able to create enough extra opportunities in this game to ultimately come out with a big road win. I'm going to take them in a close one. Like all Iowa games seem to be. I'm going to say they win like 67-64.
All right, Cody, who are you going with?
My heart wants Iowa. My gut says Illinois. So I think I'm going to go with Illinois here. I'm not going to go with my heart. I do think there's a lot of offensive efficiency to be had on both sides, but I do think this is going to be a very slow-paced game because that's what Iowa really, that's what they do consistently is grind games down. It ups the variance, which is why that's kind of my long-term issue with them. Like, that's basically why they lost the game to Minnesota. That game was a little bit higher possession. 68 possessions is pretty high for them, but they're going to be a team that is vulnerable in these spots with inferior competition, but they can also beat anyone in this league, and that's including Purdue. Like, I don't know about Michigan. Michigan might be in just a completely different stratosphere, but they play Purdue on Wednesday, and I wouldn't be shocked if they went to Mackey and won just because of their style of play. But yeah, I will take Illinois here. I think the physicality edge and the fact that they can attack the glass as much as they want without really being punished for it leads me to say they're going to win this game. I think it's a game that can be played in the 70s, and I do think it's going to be tight. So I'll say 76-71 Illinois.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. My heart says Iowa. My gut says Illinois. I am gonna follow my heart here, though. I'm going with Iowa. I think Bennett Sturts gets it done. I think they control the tempo. I think their defense does the job. I'm going Iowa 68-66. Very close game, though. I mean, Illinois is so talented, so good. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Iowa at home here. Anything to add here?
You're such a sucker for following your heart. Come on, man.
I am. I'm a hopeless romantic.
It's been working out for him too.
It really has. It really has.
Been good.
I'm going to keep on doing it. But anything else to add, or should we wrap it up here?
No, it's going to be perfect. We got Illinois, Iowa at noon. Then we got playoff football culminating with a Patriots win, hopefully on Sunday night. It's awesome.
Right. We got Cincinnati, UCF too. Don't forget about that one.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna get the Ohio State-Washington game at 6 right into the Patriots game at 8. Can't really ask for much better.
Yeah, Storybook Sunday. Can't get any better. We're going to wrap things up here. As always, thank you for listening to the Mainly Hoops podcast.